They call me the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor. I am the Doctor. I'm the Doctor. I'm the Doctor. I am the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
Greetings, humans, Daleks, Time Lords, and House. You're listening to Exterminating Doctor Who,
This is the show where we take Doctor Who's most popular episodes and debate if they're really as good as their reputations.
with your hosts, Aidan Gula.
And me, George Ellis.
And in today's episode, we are talking about the Doctor's wife.
Oh, yes.
Not the Doctor's wife,
No.
the Doctor's other wife.
Yes. Who's not really
Not his wife.
No. It's honestly, it's a weird title for the episode, frankly. Because at any point, is it mentioned in the episode?
No, I think it is a massive River Song misdirection. And you're, because, I mean, I was about to say, and you'll find out later, but we may as well begin now. And the reason I'm saying that is because we have absolutely no news this week.
I mean, we've got the Catherine Tate thing.
Literally nothing. There's the Catherine Tate
You can
thing,
maybe take that as a bit of news.
which is the Catherine Tate thing is that she was interviewed and they said, will you be coming back for the 60th anniversary? And she was like, not heard anything about it. And you could say she really hasn't, or she is lying.
I've noticed with a lot of Andrew Andrew Garfield and currently with Patrick Stewart, it's like, and obviously now Catherine Tate now, it feels a lot like whenever they're like, are you in this thing? They go, I have no idea what that even is. It's a lot of that rather than I'm not in it. Do you get what I mean? And Catherine Tate was doing something similar. That's just twigged in my brain. She did more of a I haven't been spoken to about it rather than a no, I'm not in it. Do you know what I mean? In a way.
Yeah, I get you. It could potentially be a lie, or it could just be they've not contacted her yet. We know production has began, but that doesn't mean filming has began.
No, we could be way early.
They could be beginning to contact people now. So
It surprised me if they hadn't have already contacted Catherine. Like you'd contact the primary cast at least.
I suppose so, but she is very busy at the moment promoting. She's got the Nan film coming out, and she's also got a Netflix series starting soon. So she'll be busy doing that at the moment. So
yeah,
who knows?
Thing is, though, I'm sure if they do want her on, she'd jump at the chance. Considering the reason she was even in it in the first place was because she was like, "I'll do it." You know, she wants to do it, and she likes Doctor Who. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really it.
She's on the same number, so I did like that little joke.
There's that. There was also stuff that's kind of come up again that I kind of forgot about, but I could have sworn it had been debunked. And it was that at the time they were filming the Centenary, which is obviously, we always get this muddled up. Centenary is Jodie Whittaker's final episode. When they were filming that, I think it was Peter Davison, Colin Baker, and Sylvester McCoy were all spotted in Cardiff. And it was a bit like, now why are you in Cardiff at the same time they're filming Doctor Who?
Road trip.
And I thought it had been debunked that it was for a convention. I could have sworn I saw that. Someone saying, oh yeah, they're appearing at this at the weekend or something like that. But apparently people are saying now, no, that wasn't true. And they were filming for the Centenary. Which is, again, that kind of thing. You're thinking if Ace is in it, which is a rumour we've addressed previously, then it would probably make sense that they're bringing the 7th Doctor in with Ace. But also, again, this is Jodie Whittaker's final episode. Why the hell would classic Doctors be in it?
That's bloating it even more with characters that shouldn't be there at all.
And classic Doctors that don't look like the Doctors anymore.
No.
So what are they
Maybe
for?
She'll flick through like a photo book and they'll be like, hi. Like just posing and shit.
Old, not looking like anything like they did back in the day.
I don't know. It's like we've addressed this before, but it feels a lot like... Right, the Centenary is Jodie's last episode. I know it's a Centenary, amazing, great, but it is her last episode, and you guys planned it to be her last episode.
Yeah, they say the BBC said we want a big blockbuster episode. You can still do that for her final episode. That doesn't mean, Chibnall, you're leaving 1 year before the 50th anniversary. Write your own version. That's not what that means.
It is Jodie's last episode. You need to know this before anything else.
Jodie's big final bow, not, hey, it's Jodie. Anyway, here's like 3 classic Doctors. Here's Ace. Here's all these other things that we've rumoured. It's like, well, what?
Matt Smith didn't leave in Day of the Doctor. That wasn't his last episode.
No.
That was an episode which was because it wasn't Matt's last episode, you could focus on these characters coming back, and it was a celebration. Bit of fan service, but it was fan service written in a way that was just a celebration of what Doctor Who was. Whereas by making the centenary, because we could go into the centenary and it's just all of these things are completely false and it's just Jodie. We could, but if we go into it and stuff which takes it away from Jodie's last episode, like if you remember
it, if you remember it as the one, that episode where the classic Doctors came back, rather than that one where Jodie Whittaker regenerated, then you've got a problem there.
Big problem, because it's but you can have a little bit of blockbusterness, because for God's sake, in David's last episode, the Master came back, but that's still not the focus of it. The focus is still very much firmly on Tennant leaving.
Yeah. But even in Capaldi's sake, where a past Doctor did come back, he'd had his final bout in the episodes before. And then this Doctor coming back was more of a way to explore his own character, and he was still very much... It was like the Doctor was the Doctor's companion.
And it was very,
Whereas
Capaldi was still very much the protagonist there.
And he still got a good farewell. Whereas this just kind of feels like there's going to be Chibnall's attempt at the 60th anniversary 1 year early, which Jodie Whittaker happens to be in. And that's a bit weird. So that's the only news, really. But it's not really news. It was just, I saw people talking about it on Twitter, and I thought, haven't we debunked this? I could have sworn I saw somebody say no, it was for Cardiff Comic Con, or it was for Swansea Comic Con, something like that.
My money would be on being a Comic Con still.
I would,
because it's very much it's weird.
I'm sure somebody said no, it's for this, but now suddenly people are like, remember when they were spotted? And I thought, I thought we'd
that happens
disprove
a lot
that
with rumors and shit. Sometimes someone will miss that bit of news where someone's debunked the rumor. Month goes by, that someone then brings him back up saying, why isn't anyone talking about this again? People who didn't originally see this rumor,
and he gets carried away.
It snowballs, exactly. It happens.
Yeah, so that's it. Kind of boring, really. It's been a week since last we recorded.
A proper week, yeah.
It's been a proper week since we last. It was not even like last time when it was 4 days. It's been a full week, and there's nothing. So
hopefully that means maybe something.
Hopefully there's going to be something next week. But yeah, that's that. So where was I? Yes, the Doctor's wife.
The title.
I believe, because obviously the big...
I believe in miracles. Since came along, you sexy thing.
You got there you got the tune in the end, and you kind of did the start of that. I was like, what is that supposed
Took me
to
a
be?
second.
I believe in miracles. Once you came along, I thought, I'm with you now.
It took me a second, because all right.
Anyway.
But it fit as well, because the word sexy was used a lot in this episode.
True. Obviously, the big mystery of Series 6 is who is River Song, is answering that question. And I think, as we said last week, we said a lot of people can already go, it's the Doctor's wife. It's the Doctor's wife. It's the Doctor's wife. So when this just goes, the Doctor's wife, you go, oh, it must be about River Song. And there are a few times I noticed that, are they trying to throw in another red herring about River Song? Last week I was saying that Silence of the Library for Us that kind of suggests that it's a future Doctor. This one feels like it's going, right, you've already worked out who River Song is, but what if it's this, and throws something at you? And because the title is a clear one, there was also, I noticed that there were two moments where it was kind of more of an emotional thing for the TARDIS, or Idris, whatever you want to call her. It was the bit when they were looking at all the dead TARDISes, and she was saying it's all the corpses of all my people, kind of thing. Do you remember that bit? Just before Ian the Doctor comes in.
It's a very it's a.
But the music the music that was playing just before, River's theme. And then later on, there was another bit where she did something else. I think it was when she was dying and saying goodbye. River's theme. And then obviously it ends with Rory saying, she said, the only water that lives in the forest is the river. And I thought, now why are you throwing a river reference in there with River's theme? Not necessarily River's theme, but the music that plays when River's revealed or does anything kind of emotional, that kind of thing. Yeah. And I thought, why are you doing that? And I think this is just to be you think you worked it out? What if it's actually the TARDIS? What if it's this? What if it's that? And I kind of think it was just it's kind of a pointless red herring because we know what it is.
Yeah.
But it's also setting that mystery up of it's not going to be, you think, kind of saying, all right, it's not necessarily this. You can believe it's this if you want to, and then we'll surprise you. But it's kind of saying, to me, it's like saying, you think you've worked out it's the Doctor's wife, and it's
But
them
it could
saying,
also
but
be
it's
this.
not going to be as simple as that.
I think it's all of the red herrings, honestly, are done very well. Like the title, it still fits because the Doctor travels with the TARDIS forever. So in a way, they are
700 years, she says in this episode.
exactly. And the music, little motifs, I didn't really notice that. Usually, I'm pretty good with noticing music, but that's I'm not.
You by.
But I'm not fully like when it comes to like River's theme, so Matt's era. I'm not well. It's not ingrained in my mind as Capaldi's, Tennant's, Eccleston, and then Batman shit, you know? So it did pass me by. But it's like all these red herrings. When you know they're there, it's like, oh, I see what you're doing here. And at the time, they'll do something in your brain to just twig you a little bit. But they don't detract from the main story.
No.
It's like same with kind of last week. It's like in that first episode, what are they to each other? Are they this? Are they that? Interesting to think about. But the moment you get, but it fits with what it should be. All of these red herrings are just really well done in a way. Because it's not like a red herring in a lot of murder mysteries where it's like they walk into a room, person's holding a bloody knife, and then you find out it's not them. You know?
And then the twist is, it is them.
Exactly. It's little things which fit. And the main thing is, although you've got those red herrings, this episode still really is very, very good. And I have definitely seen bits of this one before. But when I say bits, I mean bits.
You probably watched it on original broadcast, half watched it, and you've not thought about it since.
Or, honestly, may have seen the Next Time trailer. And that was it. Genuinely. The trailer that would show this episode.
Yeah.
Because it's like I remember bits, but it's like I remember bits from the end, bits in the middle, and bits at the start. But then actual plot points, fuck knows.
Yeah.
But I really loved this episode, really did.
I really enjoy it, this one. It's one of the, I always say that Series 6 has kind of really grown on me over the years. I used to really say this is the worst series of Doctor Who ever. And then actually, it's ranked much higher in my mind now. And this is one of those that kind of everybody kind of agrees, yeah, it's a good episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good episode.
That's
I deleted that section last week.
For German fans out there, is
yeah, last week we were talking about how we've got lots of fans in fans. We've got listeners in the US, Germany, and Australia and Netherlands. But the section was kind of really boring me when I was editing it, so I was going, cut this out. So and it was, we were really, it was quite a long episode last week. So I was like, we need to get rid of something. So I got rid of that. But yeah, that's what that was there. We have done a Neil Gaiman episode before.
We have.
Nightmare in Silver.
We have.
This is his other one. Quite a difference in quality, isn't there?
Quite a bit of a difference. This is actually a good episode.
I think this one really feels like a Neil Gaiman episode.
What other stuff Neil Gaiman done again?
Good Omens, Coraline.
There you go, yeah.
You name it.
Yeah.
Creepy. Name a big sci-fi.
Coraline fucking freaks me out. Like it did when I was younger and it still kind of does now. It's like something about puppeteering stuff, but it's also like, it's extremely... Who directed Coraline? Sorry, it's a bit of a tangent here.
Not a clue.
Because it feels so Tim Burton style.
I want to say Tim Burton, but I bet it's not.
That's what I'm thinking. It probably isn't, but it feels so him.
Why is it being so slow? Henry Selick.
Well, there you go.
Whoever that man is.
But no, Neil Gaiman, Coraline. Creepy. And this is very... I'd say this episode, it has humor. Like, it has a lot of humor in it, actually.
Really funny in places.
But not like forced humor. It never feels like it. It just feels quite natural. But then it's got some incredibly creepy moments. Like, really, like, it just has I think the whole episode itself, even during the funny moments, has this air of creepiness in a way.
Yeah, it does.
Like, the moment, like, it's honestly, I'll start at the start here with the cold open. The bit where they're on House.
Yeah.
Where they're on the planet. Asteroid, I mean. And you see Idris getting her soul sucked out of her. And then just being an empty husk. That shit's really fucking scary if you actually listen to what they're saying. Like it doesn't look horrifying really, because it's like she's kind of going along with it in a way, a bit scared, and you don't see anything really happen. She just faints. But if you actually listen to what's being said, she's literally getting her soul. It just dies in that moment. Her soul is gone, and it's fucking horrifying. Like it's genuinely really, really creepy. And it's like, it's PG. It really isn't, though. If you think about what's actually happening in that scene, fucking terrifying. When you cut to the Doctor dancing around, fucking...
Even like the Patrick people, uncle and auntie, they're gross.
I remember like the moment when the Doctor notices like something wrong with her arm. I'm like, oh fuck me, really? Because you really when you notice that and then you think, put the pieces together, and then they're literally mashed
different
together.
Different arms, different ears, different. Like when he says, I think he says like starts with the eyes, doesn't he? He goes, "You got the eyes of a 20-year-old." Oh, thank you. No, literally, and it's like, that's gross.
It's very Dollmaker in a way. Sorry, DC reference.
It was very Frankenstein, really.
Yeah,
like
very Frankenstein.
Original reference.
There you go. This is what we're here for. I do a reference to Batman, then Aidan tells me why that isn't original. Exactly, yeah. No, but it's like it's disgusting to have them just pieced together and them to kind of are auntie and who were they?
Auntie and uncle.
Well, who was the other one? Who was the ood to them?
Nephew.
That was it. Auntie and uncle are just very. Are they like the same people they were? You know, because they're forced to do things, and it's fucking horrifying. That's very Coraline with the kind of the sewing of the eyes and that kind of thing. It's just really creepy.
Just gross.
And to have them pieced together of what really struck me is because you're looking at like a piece of veneer and that kind of thing in the eyes, and it's like okay, but then when you see the moment where because it was wonderful when he spoke about the Time Lord with the tattoos,
Corsair.
It was, of course, I don't know, I added a French twang to that.
Corsair.
No, it was...
You mark of the Corsair.
No, but it was wonderful when the Doctor was just talking about them and kind of how they get the tattoo and the history and all that kind of stuff. And then you see the arm with the tattoo on there, and it's really upsetting because it's like, they're dead, but it's like, it's not just like finding a dead body. You're finding a piece of them that's attached to someone else. So they're long dead, but you see a part of them move, and you can in your mind put an image of the person because of the size of the hand. It's horrifying. And I hate it, but I love it, and it's brilliant. And God, there are so many moments in this episode which are genuinely just horrifying and heartbreaking. Like, if I can just mention the moment where he finds the distress signals. Like that bit where he hears all the signals, it was quite emotional because I couldn't remember if he finds, is there some sort of a Time Lord? Does he find that? That'd be wonderful. And then he just finds
the distress signals in a cupboard,
which have been there for fucking
God knows how long.
Exactly. And it's like all of that hope's gone, and then you see the anger in Matt as he's addressing the auntie and uncle, and you just see him kind of. I love when he says "run" to them. It's very kind of. Just run. Like, so I'm so angry right now, but I need a minute before I can actually do anything. You know, it's brilliant. It's just really, the seriousness of this episode is very well done.
It's one of those that is really balanced between, it's really serious and dark, and then there are really funny moments. There are bits that actually make me laugh, but there are bits that I go, oh, that's so creepy. I think I wrote a house creepy at one point, and that was when it was Amy and Rory stranded in the TARDIS. I think it was House saying something like, "Why shouldn't I just kill you now?" It was something like that. And I just think that's really creepy, the way that there's just this ominous voice. Michael Sheen being extremely evil. And if you didn't know it was Michael Sheen, I don't think
no idea.
You would have no idea. But it was kind of like, oh, this is just this voice. What can he do? How can he kill you? He's just going to, and then when he shows you later on, he's suffocating them and all that kind of thing. It's like, that is horrifying. Old Rory in the tunnel, that's terrifying when he's going at her in and he's all, "Why did you leave me?" That's creepy and horrible, that is.
It just, and the thing is, because you know what Rory's been through, you like, not from, like, for a moment there, you don't think like, oh, is this not real? You do for like a second, but it's like, it's quite easy to comprehend Rory goes through another 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Because fucking poor Rory, honestly. What did he do to deserve any of this?
The short end of the stick.
He gets no end of the stick. He gets no stick ever. Well, maybe a little bit. But it's like nothing. Dude is fucking. Just feel sorry for him. Is Amy really worth this much? honestly.
Yeah, but I like that. One thing I wrote down was that I like that the TARDIS believes in Rory.
I love that. That was very sweet.
The TARDIS was like, I'm going to give him the message.
No,
Like,
'cause
yeah, go do
yeah.
this. You can find the console room.
I'm going to go for the pretty one. And I love how the Doctor's like, thinks it's Amy, and then it's just Rory. And it's like, that's just really kind of just nice. Rory gets a little boost
I
there.
like that. I like that bit there. That was one of the bits that makes me laugh when he goes, "What is that?" And it's just her face, like right in his mind. That's one of the bits where it actually genuinely makes me laugh. She's like, "What am I looking at? What can I see?" One thing I was quite surprised at, which I've seen this episode loads of times,
Sorry.
but I kind of forgot that it's very Time Lord focused. I remember it being very TARDIS focused. I love that. I've always wanted an episode entirely set in the TARDIS. And we're yet to have one. There was one on Adventure Games, but I want one episode. So this is the kind of the closest. This and Journey to the Center are kind of the closest ones we can get.
I think it's Journey to the Center.
Isn't very good.
No.
It's like great. Seeing old things in the TARDIS running around corridors. That's great, but the story's really boring. But where was I going? I remember it being very TARDIS centric. I remember that. I remember Uncle and Auntie. I remember them being in it more than they actually are.
They were in it for like 10, 15
They were
minutes.
barely in it. I remember the Ood having more presence, which also bothered me because I read a few weeks ago that it wasn't originally supposed to be an Ood. It was supposed to be something else. And as I was watching it, I was going, "Oh, what was it supposed to be?" Google it. Cannot find this information anywhere. So as Will always gives us little corrections in the comments on YouTube,
find us.
please tell us what was that monster supposed to be, because I can't find it for the life of me. But yes, it wasn't originally supposed to be an Ood, and then it was. But then I think the Ood actually made it work better than what it probably should have been. But that's what I remember it being. And then I didn't realise it was quite so Time Lord focused. I didn't remember that detail. I remembered the boxes, I remembered bits like that, but I don't remember it being kind of a... Because I often think like, the Time Lord, the Time War stuff, I very much associate that with Strokes and David Tennant. Matt Smith, I rarely can think of references to it in his era. And it's kind of like they're all here. They're all split between this and the Day of the Doctor, kind of. I'm sure they are elsewhere, but I struggle to remember other
Moffat series,
references.
as we've said, kind of very much the fantasy. It's kind of the legend of the Doctor rather than what the Doctor did during the Time War, because we go through all that with Russell T Davies.
Yeah. It's like we had 4 series of it, and Moffat thinks, all right, we've done that to death a bit, let's move on, let's do something else. But I didn't really remember that detail, so I was kind of really enjoying seeing that. And I remembered, like, I do remember the cubes, and I remembered the Corsair and all that kind of thing. But I just like that when the Doctor gets it and he's all excited, and he kind of like, he just knows the Corsair. And I kind of go, it's kind of nice. This is not a Time Lord we have ever seen before. We've never heard of him before this episode. But I liked that it was kind of like all the Time Lords that we usually hear of are like the Doctor and all the evil ones. The only like nice one I can think of is maybe like his companion, Romana. Maybe Drax, who's like a kind of
Drax.
Yeah, he was like a handyman.
The
type.
Destroyer?
I wonder if Doctor Who's named him Drax first. Potentially. But also there's Drax in James Bond as well, isn't there? Anyway, it's obviously just a very common. We need a futuristic sounding name. Drax. There, that'll do.
Drax.
Yeah.
Strax.
Where was I going at this point?
Don't actually know.
I was naming good Time Lords. That's what I was
Yes.
doing. It's very rare you seem to get mentions of good Time Lords. They all seem to be evil, or you think you're evil. Like, look at the Time Lord President. He's evil.
Now,
It's
either
like-
evil or dead.
That's always the idea. So it was kind of nice that the Doctor just sees that thing, and he always goes, "Oh, Corsair, I remember Corsair." And he's saying things like that. It kind of makes you believe in the Time Lords a bit more. You go, oh yeah, they were a society. The Doctor knew people. They all went to school together. They all knew each other.
You'll
that
have
kind of thing.
some childhood friends that aren't just
The Master, the Rani, the Monk, all these people that are just the Rassilon, all these evil Time Lords all the time. Like, God, got a track record here, haven't we? But yeah.
Is it really the other people that are the problem, or was the Doctor just a bit of a dick?
Was he the one up or the odd one out?
Yeah.
But
they all got along, the Doctor showed up and they just didn't want him there, so they were mean to him.
I suppose there's kind of, you could say, well, yes, that's why he left, but whatever. We're being funny here. But yeah, I kind of didn't remember that, and I just liked that detail. Because you think, like, obviously all through his time, the only other Time Lord he has met is the Master. So it's right, he goes, oh, we're the only ones left. So if there's the hope that Corsair could be alive, I go, yes, we've got a good one. Oh, no, he's dead. But I just liked that. I didn't remember that Time Lord detail being so focused in this episode. Also, I'm pretty sure when he says Corsair, oh, he was a laugh and she was a laugh, or whatever he says, pretty sure that is the first reference to a gender switch regeneration in Doctor Who. Pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
First one that springs to mind.
I'm quite certain that is the earliest reference to the Time Lord's ability to do that. Yeah, so I just really enjoyed that, and all the way through you get like the references to the Time War and the Doctor saying, blatantly saying now, I killed them, rather than all the mysterious stuff of something happened or everybody lost, like kind of thing he does all through the rest of the. He's just blatantly, I said, I killed them all. Just very open with what actually happened now. And I kind of just enjoyed that. Because like I said, I don't remember the Matt Smith era really doing that much. So actually seeing how does this Doctor, who is being very silly in this one, he has his serious moments, he does, but this is where I'm already saying like, you're starting to lose me, Matt Smith. So the Doctor it's like I'm watching the Doctor going, you're not quite the 11th Doctor I don't like yet, but we've already lost the 11th Doctor I do like, if that makes sense. Oh, I was like, I keep forgetting my points, keep going off on tangents.
You had enough sleep?
No, not really. I kind of just, last night I sat down on my bed and I just thought, I'll just sit here for 5 minutes. Woke up again at 7 o'clock this morning.
One of those.
Yeah, in my clothes going, what the hell happened? Door wide open going, what happened last night? But yeah.
I've been robbed.
I don't really know who I am or what was going on today. But what was my point? You don't often see Matt Smith deal with the effects of the Time War.
There you go.
That's what I was saying. So it was nice seeing that. And like you said, what I liked, like you said, when he finds the cupboard of the boxes, there isn't actually anything that is specifically saying something bad has happened here and these boxes have got here. Because they're in like this pocket universe thing. You could just think somebody slipped through, the boxes got lost, that kind of thing. You could think that. But the Doctor just immediately jumps to, this isn't normal. Something bad has happened here. And I like that he's just immediately like, these are my people. You've messed with them. These could have been survivors of the Time War, and you've killed them all.
Theoretically, they all would have survived it anyway, because they're not in the universe. So, if the Time War had have gone on, like time, I don't know if time would time kind of travel, like not travel, would it pass differently in this? Because if you can't, I don't know, you can't like be outside of the universe, because that's like that is everything. So it's fascinating, that whole thing.
I like that was when Rory says that. He's just like, you can't be outside the universe. They're just like, but we are.
Yeah.
Well, how? I can't explain.
Think of it like a bubble with another bubble. No, don't think of it like that.
It's nothing like that. It's actually like a plug hole, but it's not really like that either.
Yeah. I just like how he couldn't explain it, because you can't. I don't think you can explain it. But it's like the Doctor being like, it is. Deal with it. We're here.
I think because you could say, because we've established in Doctor Who that there are different universes, and in between those universes is the void. So maybe in the void somewhere, there's just a little bit where people hang out.
Maybe. But I've never seen the Doctor have to push the TARDIS so hard to bounce through shit. So it's like, I feel like the way he had to, no, that was, first off, all right, I'll just follow your point by saying it is great just seeing this episode is so focused on the Time Lords. Like, the reason he goes there is because of the stress signal, and it's just wonderful kind of seeing Matt's Doctor tackle that. Like, my favorite line from him in this whole episode is when Amy says, "You want to be forgiven, don't you?" And he says, "Don't we all?" Just so
I really like
bluntly,
that,
and I was just like, "Oh my, yes!"
I wrote that down because I was thinking that's a new perspective. I've not thought about why the Doctor wants Time Lords, because you think he wants Time Lords because he's the last one. He wants company. He wants people like him. Yeah, that's obvious. You want more people like you. He wishes his people could have survived. But what? But like, why? And I've seen this episode before, but obviously I've never watched it critically, thinking about every single line.
Yes.
Go, do I like that line? Do I like that? As I do when we do this podcast. And that line, "You want to be forgiven," I thought that's perhaps my favorite line about like the Doctor surviving the Time War. Because I thought that's you, like, rather than just be like, I just want a friend. I just want people to be like me. when he always says things like that, I wish I could go back to the red grass and all that kind of stuff. You want to be forgiven. I like that.
Because although what you did was to stop the Time War, you're still committed genocide.
Yeah.
At least you think you did, because we find out that.
Well, he did.
Yes. He did commit genocide.
And then he went back and changed it, so he
Yes.
didn't. But
He's
so at this time, he has.
Yes. So it's nice just seeing him, because would a Time Lord, it's not the idea of would like a Time Lord be able to forgive him, but would he be able to, like, would he even be, like, they might do, they might not, but it's the idea that there's a bit of hope there in the sense that he could maybe even forgive himself in a way if there are Time Lords that survive.
Yeah.
Because it isn't, there's hope there. It's wonderful, and it's kind of course he's going to feel guilty about it. You stop the Time War, great. Did commit genocide. So it's not, like, he's going to feel terrible about that, and to have someone of that, like, a species survive and be able to just talk to, that's a form of, it's very upsetting and emotional and just brilliant line, and it just says a lot about the Doctor. And I did like the don't we all, which is very much just everyone has their regrets and that kind of thing, and you want to be forgiven about your mistakes and that kind of, even there are mistakes that people make in their lives, and even if you don't want to ask for forgiveness, like those kind of things, you still want the forgiveness there. And oftentimes, like, if you have an argument with someone and then you move past that argument, you assume they've forgiven you in your head, and that's what you want, really, or you've forgiven them. That's kind of how it is. And for the Doctor, he can never theoretically ever forgive himself until obviously they're the Doctor, because there's no one to forgive him, because it's just a genocide. There's no one to forgive him, and he can't forgive himself because what he's done is done. It's so many layers, and it's brilliant and just sad. Doctor, it's weird saying the Doctor committed genocide. It's a weird sentence as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Doctor, good line. Just a lot of good lines in this. And
the other one I liked, I wrote, I'm just looking through my notes. I wrote quite a few quotes for this episode, more than I thought I did. Obviously, testament to
the writing.
Gaiman's writing there. But the other one I liked about that he said about Time War and that kind of thing, which was when I was saying that he kind of, the first time I can really think of where he just addresses it explicitly, what he kind of, because he tells you I killed all my people, but never he just says I killed them, that kind of thing. It's always in I ended it by destroying both sides. It's things like that kind of thing. And what I liked is when House goes, fear me, I've killed hundreds of Time Lords. And the Doctor goes, fear me, I killed them all. I just like that bit, and I just go like, that's like, oh damn, you did. And it's just, that's when I'm like, oh, that is, I'm seeing the 11th Doctor deal with the Time War, which I very rarely see you do. And I'm actually really enjoying it and wish you did this more, because Matt Smith does this very well. Because he's being kind of dismissive of it. Yes, he would be, because the 10th Doctor went through all of that, and he kind of came out the other side of it thinking, right, I can get through it now. I've dealt with it. So the 11th Doctor's been a bit more dismissive of it. Yet, of course, there's still part of him that is like, wish I hadn't done that.
We say with Matt's Doctor, we see him kind of go too wacky and that kind of thing. And oftentimes I think it can be forgotten that Matt's acting, like as an actor, he can give us so much kind of range and depth. And by having him explore the Time War and the feelings of that in a way that has to be somewhat moving on in his head while also still remorseful and that kind of thing, it's a difficult task for any actor. And you see it in this.
There's a thing you're sad about that you've got over, but you're still quite sad about it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how the hell do I play that?
And then Matt plays it.
Yeah.
And you believe it. And it's very much, you see the pain. It's fucking difficult for these actors to be able to play a character that is a certain amount of years old, which is unfathomable for human beings, and then also give them the weight of genocide on their shoulders, but the genocide was justified in their heads. Like, it's so much to do, but yet Matt Smith, we don't get to see him tackle that often. But the thing is, when he does tackle it, as shown in this episode, you see him tackle it beautifully, and him just give a completely genuine and believable performance of what the Doctor would be feeling in that moment. He's having to kind of there was hope for a second that other Time Lords were there. Hope taken away in an instant. Just as fast as he found that hope, the hope was taken away.
Yeah.
And you see him. You can see he's furious. You can when he's just pointing out to the patchwork people. He's pointing out kind of what's wrong with them. You can see he's angry. He's really fucking angry, and he's really angry at House. But because he's kind of the more reserved Doctor in the terms of he at least sees himself as someone who's getting past what he did in the Time War. He's trying not to show it as much. But realistically, he can't fully get over that. Or at least that's what I see. Someone who can't ever really get over what they've done.
He's just had to move on.
He had to move on.
But even when you get to the Day of the Doctor and it's like, how many people died that day? And the Doctor goes, oh, I don't know. And it's like, do you mean you forgot? It's kind of like the Doctor says then, I had to move on. Like if I was wallowing over this forever, I just go, and he has to be like, come on, let's get through this now. Which is, I like the idea, but I also really like when he is dealing with it. I think he does it really well, as we've been saying. And I just kind of think it's a shame that we didn't get to see this.
Feels like
more.
a bit of a missed opportunity in a way.
Yeah. But then also the other side of the argument is we'd got a bit fed up of it after a while. If we had Eccleston moping over the Time War, the 10th Doctor moping over the Time War, the 11th Doctor moping over the Time War, we've gone, all right, we get it now.
But also, like some of Matt's best acting as the Doctor is when he's
moping
doing about
that,
the Time
yeah.
War. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just think if you'd done it for like an entire era, you could have got
Maybe
fed up with
when we
Doctor Who'd
see
been
Matt-
back by Doctor Who had been back for 6 years at this point. That'd be 6 years of I'm the last of the Time Lord. Like, yes.
maybe because we
All
were
right.
given a break from that when he did do it in this episode and then Day of the Doctor. It hits harder.
It's 2 years difference, yeah.
Maybe. Maybe not, but maybe. So maybe that's a good reason why. But no. Basically what the point is with that is this episode tackles a Time War and it's very arguably quite unique in the wider world of the Moffat era to do this. And it gives us a look at Matt's Doctor that we don't get to see often. And it's just really nice.
It is. It's a good focus on the Time Lords without the Time Lords being in it, which is hard to do. But I think it does. You've got remnants of TARDISes and things like that. Nice. But no, actually, you've got Time Lord arms and legs and things, but they're not Time Lords in it. And that's kind of, it's well done to do that, because most times if you want to explore the Time Lords, how do you do that? Stick with the Time Lord in it, have them talk about different perspectives of things. There you go, you've explored the Time Lords. And it's like...
It's like a cocktail. Time Lords.
Like you talk to him about this thing, but you would disagree on this thing. And there we are, we have two opinions of Time Lords. We could see different types of Time Lord. Whereas here it's like, you talk about this thing. There won't be another party, but you need to get across the different perspectives and how they might see you. How? They're not going to be in it. Work that out for yourself.
Yeah, I can imagine that being like a really annoying English exam. Good luck. Write that. I don't know.
Yes. What does this thing think of you? I don't know. Well, you tell me. There is a correct answer. What?
Find the correct answer and it's just some sand on a table and you're like, what?
It's a
somehow
talking asteroid.
Yeah.
That's not.
It's a magic
Ego
8
is a
ball.
living
You
planet.
just shake the big planet thing and then it tells you Time Lords.
I like that. I wrote that. I like that I put, my note says, I like that the villain is an asteroid with a really good plan.
Really good plan.
I'll lure a Time Lord. I'll suck all the energy out of his TARDIS. And I might chop him up and use him for uncle and nephew.
Bugger, this is the last TARDIS. Yeah, I'll just use it as a taxi.
Yeah.
It's a better home than an asteroid, though, a TARDIS. Still, a good plan, but it also shows the ego of this living planet.
The ego.
Yes. Because when it has Rory and Amy, it's just like, fuck it. I got Rory and Amy. Let's fuck with them because I can. Bad idea. Because Rory and Amy aren't useless. They can push a button on a console. I've realized that it's basically all they do.
Essentially.
But they feel
they
important.
actually have a big presence in it. I can remember what Amy does in it. I can remember what Rory does in it.
And as story devices, if we think of them purely like that, it shows us House's character. Because we've seen him...
And what he's capable
Yes,
of
we've
doing.
seen House, like, put together the Patchwork people. Do that. control the planet. We know that he's killed Time Lords and eaten their TARDISes. TARDI? TARDISi?
Is it
TARDIS?
Is it TARDI or
Or is it just TARDIS? Like,
I would just say TARDIS.
we've seen him destroy the TARDISes and all that stuff. So we know he's done all that. And you're like, bad. But what we see with him with Rory and Amy is you see him
Manipulating.
you see him in present time doing his evil shit. And there's just something about when you see, like, do you know, like, if you hear a story about someone, this person is evil, bad, and you're like, okay, I'm with you. I believe what you're saying, but then when you see it in person, it's like,
Oh, that's
see what you
what he
mean.
does. Yeah.
it's a way to kind of, it's a showing rather than telling, a simple filmmaking technique there. And what Raimi and Rory there as a storytelling method is give us that, which is important for House's character. And then what they do is obviously push a button, go to a console. And can I talk about the console?
Yeah, go for it.
Fucking hell. Right. They go to David Tennant's motherfucking TARDIS. I didn't know this. And I was just fucking
Just watching it, enjoying it.
having a good time. I was like, what console is this going to be? My first thing I thought console-wise, I was like, it's going to be probably Hartnell's console. That seems like I want to go to.
Yeah.
Easy set to build, that kind of shit. I've seen it quite a few times, that kind of console,
Yeah.
since. It would make sense for this to be the first time it appears. Because when they say an old console, you'd think, they'd go like old console. But then they open the doors, and the moment it's not lit up, like I could just see the silhouette. I was like, oh my God, I know exactly what fucking
Well,
TARDIS that was.
You weren't like, oh my God. You were like,
They're in Tennant's TARDIS, holy fucking shit, fucking holy shit, fuck, holy my God, fucking
that was a voice note he sent me as he was watching the episode. I found it right. Because I was watching it, and as I was watching it, I thought, does he remember the TARDIS being in it? And as we usually send clips, I sent him a couple of clips, and I was thinking, got my phone out to send one. Oh, I love it when David Tennant's TARDIS shows him. And I thought, on the off chance that he doesn't remember, I'm not going to send a clip because I want him to just be surprised by it. So as soon as I got a voice, and I thought, I reckon I know what that is. Press play. You go, "Rah!" And I thought, yeah, that's the reaction I expected.
Because I didn't know it was going to show up, and I recognized it the moment it was there, and it's like I was just there, like slight tears in my eyes, like, just shocked by the fact, because it's a gorgeous design, and I love it, and it's just the idea of seeing it again in a slightly different context with that. It's like revisiting an old character in a way from that era. It's very much, I say in Doctor Who, you've got to have references to what's come before to make it feel like one big thing. Like when writers change, you've got to have that. But so like just a reference like Jodie's era, like when she mentions when she was Scottish with the handcuffs, a little throwaway line like that. It's important because what that shows you is that it's the same character.
Yeah.
It's very important. And what this does is, in a way that doesn't feel forced, because they need to go to an old console for it to make sense, we visit an old location from a past era, and it's wonderful to see because it reminds you that has come before. And I'll be honest with you, it basically stole the show for me from that moment onwards. Like when they were just in that scene, I was just like, this is an amazing scene. I'm kind of just looking at the set right now because it was just wonderful seeing it again. It's like the Ratatouille moment where you eat that soup and you just go back in time.
We discussed what that term's called before.
Well, the Ratatouille soup term.
And I can't remember what it is anymore. I was talking about it to somebody else, and I was going, that's called that bit from Ratatouille.
I remember you were so proud when you knew it as well.
Yeah, it's in my old notebook. I've got the wrong one. But yeah.
No, it's just wonderful seeing the old TARDIS again. And just, I love how I know that it's like one side of the set. So they run in from the camera.
But I think it looks better than it does in Day of the Doctor. I do.
It does actually. I think it's the lighting as well.
They pull out further.
A little bit.
That's what she said. You can see the full console room. You see them run around it, and it feels more like this is the original set. Whereas Day of the Doctor, you only ever see the corner of the room. If we pull out any further, you're going to see the Doctor Who experience. But so I thought,
because I think this is the old set.
But that's what I'm trying to Google right now because I thought they dismantled it. So then I watched this and I know the Day of the Doctor was filmed in
Maybe
the Doctor
they
Who
dismantled
experience.
it like when the Doctor Who experience was happening. They used the same set to build the Doctor Who experience.
But they wouldn't
so there was a point in time.
But they wouldn't have been able to build Matt Smith's TARDIS if Tennant's TARDIS was still standing. because it's all in the same studio. The reason Matt Smith,
Oh.
the whole reason Matt Smith got a second TARDIS console, like they would for Series 7, he wouldn't have had a new one. But the reason they did was because they moved studio and they couldn't take this TARDIS console with them.
Wow.
They had
So
to
we might have.
dismantle it and
That's
rebuild it.
That's a very interesting thought, thinking about Matt with maybe Tennant TARDIS in that way.
What are you on about?
Is that what you mean?
No, it's Matt Smith's second console. You know
Oh,
when he,
second.
You know when he gets the blue
God,
one?
oh, right. Yeah. With you now.
The reason he gets that one is because they moved studio, so they couldn't take it with them.
Gotcha.
Whereas this was still filmed in the same one as they were
Tennant's.
using before.
Okay. Right.
So how can you have two TARDISes next to each other in a studio?
You can't.
Because they need to build sets in that space.
So is this the one from the Doctor Who experience?
That's what
And
I'm,
if it
I'm trying to
is,
Google it, and I
how did they
cannot
manage-
find any information.
The lighting might have something to do with it because it is lit in a darker fashion, I found. It's lit very much like early Tennant series and Eccleston's. That's the feeling I got from it. Kind of a nice, like a much darker
Yeah.
lighting, which was nice, actually. It was nice revisiting that. But no, it was just, I really loved seeing it again. And I do like the idea that it was references desktop, just kind of like how you can just change the thing.
And then also they end it by deleting the room. Say we'll never see it again.
The thing is, they can bring it back because you can just,
We'll go into the TARDIS recycle bin.
yeah, it'll be there.
There it is.
Hmm.
Restore.
Oh, I thought you were talking about you found something. No, yeah. And it was also nice.
No, I cannot find where it was filmed.
Well, there you go.
So
There-
again, if you know,
please let us know.
please let us know, because I don't know where it was filmed.
We do our research live, and that's a problem sometimes.
Well, I was doing it before, and I couldn't find any information.
Mm.
I've done this before because I was watching it going well, and I thought, let's just see if I can find anything else now, and there's nothing. Somebody might go, all you have to do is Google where was it filmed, and I go, all right, well,
And you click the third link down, click the second link in that
I'm like
link.
looking at like, oh.
One thing.
One thing I didn't know, I've just found in my research here, is the junk TARDIS was,
Mhm.
you know, like there was the Blue Peter competition to make a monster and they made the absorber off. There was a design your own TARDIS console, and that's what the junk TARDIS was based off.
That's sweet.
Did
Poor,
not know that.
poor
did
kid.
Did
poor
a much
kid who-
better job than the absorber off, I
Yeah,
must say.
but I do feel sorry for the kid that designed that. I was like thinking, oh, this could be an amazing TARDIS. It is the junk TARDIS. Of what? They were like, you get the junk. Kid, you've designed a
the
junk.
shit
Yeah,
TARDIS.
exactly. You got the shit TARDIS. No, but it is actually really nice just seeing that. But one thing I did love is how the TARDIS, Idris, the way she describes things, like how she's kind of out of time in a sense. Like she describes things that will happen, have happened. She doesn't know where she is. And I love how once she figures it out, she mentions to the Doctor, I've got about 30 of them saved. And he's like, how have you got that? And he's like, it's just time is kind of all over the, like, well, not
Yeah, it's
yet.
like, I've not had 30. It's like, well, you will.
And I just like the idea that she's got loads of different TARDIS desktops somewhere in the thing. And it's like, how many different designs for a TARDIS can you get? I'm just very excited to see the next design of the TARDIS, honestly.
I like that when she's
Yeah.
on that point. I like it when they're saying, she goes, the big word. Why is that so sad? And you go, what word is she on about? Then at the end, she says, alive. And you go, I love how she's just bouncing that around all the time.
Honestly, I think Idris / the TARDIS is obviously a big focus of this episode. I'd say she very much is I think this whole episode is, as we've said, it's a focus on the Time Lords, and I think it is just a focus on kind of Time Lords and Gallifrey and TARDIS, and it is just that whole thing in a nutshell, because I think it's like 50-50 split between Time Lords and the TARDIS as like that story. So we've spoken about the Time Lords, but I just want to mention the TARDIS itself. Beautifully acted. Like it starts with a confused being, like the TARDIS is in a body, doesn't know what to do, to eventually realizing what they are. Still being a bit weird, because obviously you're a TARDIS, but becoming something more calm and understanding who they are to the Doctor, who the Doctor is. Having the Doctor call you sexy, which is like a wonderful moment when he's like, only when we're alone, we are alone. Okay, then sexy does a little, and it's very, honestly, just really sweet and heartbreaking when she dies. Well, doesn't die, when she goes back to being the TARDIS. But it's just I think
Yeah.
it could have so been done in such a shit cliche way.
It could have been really naff.
The Doctor's TARDIS comes to life and
and it's
he's
a woman.
yes,
Let's
and
do
he has
loads of sexy
feelings
jokes.
for her. Like you can have so many jokes like that. Like I can think of a really shit joke like "You touch my console." Like
Ooh.
exactly like
Ding
a really,
dong.
like really shit jokes like that. But instead, what you get is you get a brilliant character study on the Doctor through the TARDIS, which is actually character study on the TARDIS, but also the Time Lords and everything in one nutshell. You have references to what the Doctor did when he first met the TARDIS. And one of my favorite lines, which says so much about the TARDIS and the Doctor in a nutshell, is when the Doctor says that you start Idris slash the TARDIS.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call it the TARDIS now.
Just say the TARDIS.
The TARDIS says, "You stole me," like to the Doctor, and then she says, "And I stole you," and that is wonderful. How it's the idea that she had a part. It's the idea that the TARDIS is alive because it is alive, and it was very much putting a spotlight on that idea and the personification of that. Like purely, there was no like maybe she's alive from here on out. It's like confirmation she was alive in a sense, and she is from here on out. You just get an ability here to communicate with her, and her saying that she stole the Doctor, and you realize that she was like an antique when he first met her, and he and she was she had her doors unlocked so he could steal her, and she wanted to be stolen. And it's kind of like, rather than there's actually a kind of a symbiotic relationship there, more than just he steals an object. There is something truly beautiful about that. And you have references like in School Reunion where he talks to her and kind of has a relationship in a sense to his TARDIS. It is more than just nostalgia to an object. It is nostalgia to a being in a sense, which we probably can't understand because it isn't alive in a way that we can comprehend, but it is to him. And it's just, I think it's wonderful and beautiful, and I think it's brilliantly done, and just the way they can reminisce about the experiences they've gone through and how they can just talk about things, and how he says you're unreliable, and she says that I don't take you to the places you want to go, I take you to the places you need to be, which is fucking brilliant because that is exactly what happens. And then when she does go back to being, sorry, I'm just rambling here because I love it.
Yeah, I've been trying to interject for about 5 minutes.
Sorry,
I'll
and then
let you keep going.
Then she goes into when she dies and just when she goes back to just being the TARDIS, and you're just like, that's really sad, but you've had that moment. And then just it's wonderful when she flips this lever, and then boom, she's still there, and she always was, and it's wonderful. I love it. Your turn. Sorry.
Well, I'll have to backtrack because you went off before I was able to interject.
Fair enough.
But I do have something to say to that. Firstly, I found what the TARDIS was filmed on. Now, I was searching through fan sites and things specialised in Doctor Who, things specialised in production. Do you know where I found this information?
Reddit.
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. I was thinking like unreliable sources of information. Reddit thread.
No, Wikipedia. I'm going through Doctor Who fandom. I'm going through all these things.
I need to find the main
and
source.
It's on bloody Wikipedia all along.
Well, it probably would be, yeah.
The Doctor Who experience opened in 2012.
I still can't believe I never fucking went. Like, it actually hurts my soul.
Well, I should have. 2012 to 2017, I went 4 years in a row. Obviously 2 years where it was exactly the same, but
Do you think
that's not the point. But the reason I was saying that it can't have been at the Doctor Who experience because it opened in 2012. It doesn't exist anymore. Yes, but Aidan, things need to be prepared before opening, don't they? The episode also featured the return of the older TARDIS control room. Let's start that sentence again. The episode also featured the return of the older TARDIS control room from the Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant era. Gaiman had originally wanted to reconstruct a console room from the original series, but the cost proved prohibitive. The set was retained after filming for the 11th hour, but had since been removed to become part of the Doctor Who experience.
Gotcha.
So they dismantled it, moved it, and filmed it there.
So because it's before the experience opened,
that's perhaps why you can pull out further.
Are there certain things? Are there the railings not there? Are there certain things that that weren't like?
Yeah, because
were there certain like touristy bits to keep children from touching?
There
shit?
were. I walked around that TARDIS set, and you could get up to the console. So it was, always like how it was, the half set kind of thing. You could go up, just get to the console. If you wanted to, you would be able to reach out and touch it, but obviously You're not supposed to, so you can't do that.
The
And
amount,
you could-
the temptation to just flip the
and you
lever and
could
be like,
kind,
oh,
you could walk around to get as far as the path that led down to the door. So you're on the set. Whereas if it's there, the TARDIS isn't open yet. Those railings have been put in, so you can pull out as far as you like. You're not going to go backwards and bump.
You're basically shooting in the original.
Thing. You're on the set,
Yes.
so it's the original set at that point, and then they obviously probably gradually got closer and closer. Because I went there, and I believe the first time I went, it was props downstairs, TARDIS upstairs, and then I went again. I'm pretty sure they moved it to TARDIS downstairs, and it was something like that.
It would make more sense to have the TARDIS be the first thing you go into.
Things moved, yeah. Then it became all the TARDISes were downstairs. So you had Hartnell was the 80s one, and the
80s one,
and the Eccleston ones. They were the three.
the 80s one.
Yeah,
Which one?
the 80s one. It's the one that was throughout all the 80s. There's only two consoles in the 80s, but it was the second one that Davison, Baker, and McCoy all had.
Yeah.
That creamy looking one. So it was that one and the but that's where it was filmed then. So bloody, it was on Wikipedia all along. Anybody listening to this is going to find that infuriating. But Aidan, for God's sake, it's on Wikipedia. I know that now. The other thing I was going to say is about the point you were saying for about 17 years was that it
It wasn't that long.
kind of does redefine a lot of Doctor Who in the sense that the Doctor's piloting it. Doesn't matter where the hell they go, because actually the TARDIS all along is taking them where he needs to go. And I like that idea. Why have we ended up in this random quarry somewhere? Well, you see a Cyberman will emerge any moment now.
Because I like to think the Doctor is like, I'm going to go to this location, and he's doing the flying. But if there's like so he's heading for this planet on this world here. I'm holding my right hand up, and he needs to go to this planet, and I'm holding my left hand up. They're very close together. If he's aiming for this, the TARDIS can just go.
But if he's
little
aiming for
nudge.
that, but it's peaceful, nothing going on. But on the other one, there's something kicking off.
Give him a little nudge.
Going to take him there instead.
Yeah.
He
So
can,
he
can go somewhere. The
Yeah.
TARDIS might think, let's have a break. He can stop off in
Like if the TARDIS
places.
is heading to somewhere, like to see Amy or something, go. But I like to think she can just. She's got full control, but she doesn't like.
Yeah, I like that. I do really love a lot of the. I love, like you said, I love it when they are arguing with each other, and it's just all, and it is that stuff you were saying. Like, you never told me where I wanted to go. I like that he's able to talk to this machine that we have seen for. How old is Doctor Who at this point? 48 years old. It would be at this point. It's now 59 years old. We've come a long way, but it's 48 years old at this point. It's like the thing we have seen for all that time. But he's never been able to talk to. He'll talk to it, but not have a conversation with it. And I like that we get that. Because sometimes you do get the TARDIS that has a bit of character, like when, through Series 7, when the Doctor says that the TARDIS doesn't like Clara, and it's always like, making noises and things like that. You get things like that, but this is where you get, like, just the TARDIS talking. And I like that. I like when he finds out about it, and the Doctor's just so like, you what? I like that when, like, the other quote I would say that really made me laugh is when she just goes, I am the TARDIS. And he goes, no, you're not. You're a bitey mad lady. I just like the way he's just completely shut down to even the possibility that she could be the TARDIS, because he's just like, what are you on about? You can't be the TARDIS. And then when he realizes, his face is just so like, what the hell is happening?
It's like it's nice. It's a bit weird.
Like,
Okay.
how did we get
Yeah.
here? I like that when Amy
You
says,
bit me,
I like when
lassie.
Amy says, did you wish really hard?
Because it's like I like that because it's a really serious situation. But she's just like, did you wish really hard? And then she says, hi, I'm sexy. And then it's like, no, not like that. It's very funny. It's just really.
I also like a bit below that, same scene when they're having the argument. I like the Doctor kind of just building the TARDIS with his bare hands.
I love that.
You never see, there might be an occasional one every now and then, but not like a thing of where he's like buzzing things with a sonic screwdriver all the bloody time. He's actually just putting things together. He's putting things
like you
together.
see at the end of the episode where he's fixing the TARDIS, and it's like he's got a screwdriver and uses it every so often, but it's like he's having to put wires together, and you proper see. And those same goggles, are those the goggles that Jodie wears? They look awfully similar.
Might be, but
That'd be nice reference. Probably won't be, but it'd be nice if they were. But it's nice seeing kind of, as you said, just a side of the Doctor where we know he's extraordinarily intelligent and we know he can build shit because obviously he has to be able to. But it's just nice seeing him build a fucking TARDIS. It's cool.
yeah.
It's insane that he was able to, like, it's a batshit crazy idea though, with the way it flies.
Then you kind of go, well, how is he able to do that? Because he's in a graveyard of TARDIS bits.
Theoretically, yeah.
Yeah. And then it wouldn't have worked, but she gave the life to make it work. Gave it the heart of the TARDIS, if you want to, if you will. And I like that. Also, just saying, we have actually flown that TARDIS.
Don't.
On Roblox, but we have flown that TARDIS. On one of our
This is the
occasional
thing.
extremely bored. Shall we go bully some children nights?
When it comes to flying the TARDIS, me and Aidan have two different methods. Aidan's was very kind of let's dematerialize.
I dematerialize and materialize. That's how I do it. I want to go there. I'll pull the lever, pull it again.
Go through the vortex, land.
arrive.
It's wonderful. How would you describe my flying of the TARDIS?
I would say yours is more manual flight. You don't think materialization isn't a word that exists in your TARDIS.
No.
You don't appear, you don't necessarily land. You get there.
I get there.
You get there.
And I often crash in the
But it's
the
like
process.
on this if you've never played this Roblox game, and
You should, it's
I would
really
say,
quite
I
fun.
would say you actually do play it. We go on it to take the piss, but we do, and people are like going, "Shall we role play?" And we go, "Let's go find them," and we take the mick, and we'll purposely kidnap people and take them to planets where you die, things like that. We would, we have fun on it, but yeah. So when you basically get between, because obviously like how Roblox works, you've just got one massive room and then all the different things are in that room. So even though you're going to different planets and it feels like you're going to different places, you're on this massive room kind of thing. So when you dematerialize, say you're on the moon and I want to go to Gallifrey, you disappear from one and you teleport to the other, essentially.
Yes.
However, if you fly and you take the TARDIS off, if you keep going up from a planet, you'll be able to see all the other planets. So when I've been in George's TARDIS, when I go, where should we go? I will open up the menu, click moon, pull the lever, and you are there.
Easy peasy, super speedy.
Nice and done. But when I'm with George, we'll go into George's TARDIS when he always has the Tennant console room. Of course, every single time. He will go, where do you want to go? And I don't know, surprise me. And then you look at the screen, look at the monitor, and the TARDIS is going up, and he's not saying, where do you want to go based on locations? He goes, I think the purple planet looks quite nice.
And I'm gunning it, spinning.
We don't know what the purple planet is. We'll get there. Go, oh, it's Trenzalore. But we don't know what they are.
And I don't slow down.
Until we get there.
When it comes to landing, I don't slow down.
No.
We go full speed and the planet will stop me. And if it chooses not to stop me, we'll go through it to the next one.
Yeah, and also like if you're in a location, it's got, I can't get to that bit. He goes, but the TARDIS will, and he just rams it until he finds a little glitch that he can slip through.
We make it, and somehow I was able to make the TARDIS. So the TARDIS spins like this, nice and normally. One point, I'd managed to make the TARDIS basically barrel roll faster. Basically, I created a nuclear weapon in a sense, because if that have hit anything,
absolute
end of the
explosion.
universe.
Yeah. And when we flew the junk TARDIS, which is rare to find, because there's only one on there. You have to try and find it. Whereas we came across it and let's get in. I think we jumped off, didn't we? And just fell through the vortex. So that TARDIS would just be flying through. Nobody would be able to get it. It's spinning through the vortex, or we just jumped off the thing.
What can I say? When it comes to my flying of the TARDIS, I'm living what I want the Doctor to do more, and that is to use the TARDIS as a weapon. Because let me tell you, when those Daleks showed up and Aidan was in trouble or anything,
I was zapping them with a screwdriver because
stunning
that would confuse them.
My plan, I would argue, worked better, which was to fly the TARDIS through the doors into the corridor and just barrel through. And I felt very much alive. So what can I say?
So, if you ever are ever bored, I would say play it with other people. If you did it on your own, that would be quite sad. And especially if you're our age, if you were in your 20s playing Roblox on your own, you would be a loser. But we play it with each other because we like to bully children. So, have you got any remaining points?
Any other points? Bitey Lady.
I think Saran Jones would have been a good Doctor. It's a shame she kind of had this major role.
She would have been great, actually.
Because she does the bonkers really well. which is
bonkers, but
absolutely
also
mental.
But it didn't feel weird. Like I wasn't.
But it's not
Because I've met
it's not
crazy people before,
Yeah.
and usually you're like, "Fuck off."
It's not bonkers even in the Sacha Dhawan master sense, where it's
No.
just I'm quite wacky, aren't I? It's just like she's mental,
But nice.
but nice, and there is a heart there and a care, and actually when they have an actual conversation, she's speaking normally, but she's saying normal things, but she's kind of doing it in kind of a weird, backwards, tense way. Also, that'd be hard to write. That would switching tenses. But, yeah.
I like that though, because of course she's not going to really have a kind of tenses don't really mean much to her,
Because
because what
go
has
anywhere
happened
in time.
is going to happen. in that
What
sense.
has happened to the Doctor? What hasn't happened to the Doctor has happened to the TARDIS, and what hasn't happened to the TARDIS has happened to the Doctor, which means it has happened to the TARDIS, because everything has happened to the TARDIS, but anything that's not done yet hasn't happened to the TARDIS. Anything you would change by the episode? There's a question.
I feel like it's a bit short, honestly, in a way. I find a lot of our time is spent off. I would have liked a bit more time kind of
But
on
I think if
the
you'd done,
asteroid.
but
I don't think it could have been a two-parter.
I was about to say if you'd made it a
No
two-part,
way.
it dragged.
But a part of me feels because we've obviously we've been doing two-parters constantly. Actually, it might be that part of me feels like there's more to explore here, maybe, in the sense of
Yeah, we've done 5 weeks of two-parters.
yeah. So probably just craving that. But really, the main thing, I found a point, and then I was like,
I have
keep it.
lost the point.
just funny bits, just to mention. I really like the bit where he's trying to get the TARDIS open as it's leaving, and his plan is Sonic. And just clicks at the TARDIS, like open. It's very
Yeah.
funny because it's like it's literally like you trying to open a door and it's not opening, but he's like, work. It's amazing. I love it. But for me, honestly, like the thing I really enjoyed about this whole episode, if it isn't the story or anything like that, it's the fact we get an isolated Doctor. Although he's with the TARDIS, he's still as isolated as we ever see him. He's very much by himself trying to save people in a different situation. And I always love that. I love kind of putting the Doctor in a situation, putting the Doctor and the companions in separate situations and seeing how they handle it.
Yeah.
And there's just something nice about that. And it was really well done.
Like him trying to get from A to B still, isn't it? Because he's without companions, without the TARDIS. He's like, but I'm still going to get to them.
And he said,
How are
like,
you
this is,
gonna do that?
this is, he says he doesn't know what to do. That's a new feeling. It's just
Yeah.
nice. It's nice having him be in a situation we don't see usually.
And I like the plan in the end, how it's kind of like you think, delete this room then. You think, yeah, they won't. And the room gets deleted. You are like, what? How? And he goes, because we're back in the main room. And it's like, very smart, very clever. Thing I'd say maybe cheapens it. Obviously, when House takes over things, all the lights become green, the Ood becomes green, all that kind of thing. And I did notice, obviously, when the TARDIS gets taken over, everything becomes green. When the episode finishes, obviously, they've changed all the bulbs to be green. So it means even when House is gone, as Day is defeated, the TARDIS is still green. That bothers me. I do think, could you not have just switched out? Could you not have filmed the ending later on when you've got or earlier when you've got the normal bulbs? That bothered me a bit. But I was like, I'll let it go. Maybe you needed to rush through this episode, whatever.
Probably.
We don't have Dr. Light episodes anymore, so you need to get on with things. So
It's just nice. I just think the episode is just really good, really creepy, funny, well written, a nice. I feel like my favorite episodes are the ones that explore the character of the Doctor, and this is a wonderful exploration of the character of the TARDIS.
yeah,
And the Doctor. That's the thing. Exploring the TARDIS and then the Doctor and the Time Lords. It's just very focused.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel bloated at all. And I don't know if a part of me wants to see the TARDIS speak again in a way. Maybe.
I don't know if I'd want it to happen again. I feel like they've nailed it so well the first time.
And
you don't need to.
It ended on a way which is like, TARDIS is still alive, always has been, helps the Doctor out. That's just how it is. You don't need to go.
Not changed anything of the law.
No,
We've just
nothing's changed.
We've just kind of given you a different reason, because it's like, well, you've changed the Doctor can't actually pilot the TARDIS. Yeah, he can,
and he does. She just gives him a nudge.
But it seems a bit of a coincidence that every single time we land somewhere, it happens to be dangerous.
Actually, it helps
make the show make sense.
Yeah,
to be like, why do we always go to these dangerous planets all the time?
And it's not like
there's a reason.
Yeah, it's not like the TARDIS doesn't know. Like, it's just like there seems like danger. TARDIS knows what's going to happen and has happened, and is just very much. It just feels like some sort of deity in a way, just holding the Doctor's hand, like, go here. Also, a bit mean, like the TARDIS going like, you're going to die this time.
Yeah.
Little
You
bit
will
mean.
regenerate on this one, but you have to go because you need to save these people. And if you
Yeah.
don't, all hell will break loose.
I like to think in those situations, does the TARDIS do it because it has to, or is it kind of this weighs up the options? Or is it like knows the Doctor will be okay in the end, so does it? It's just fascinating. Adds a lot to it, really. Kind of creates a nice companionship for the Doctor, even when he doesn't have a certified companion. It's just really nice.
Yeah. And I'm going to end that there. I wrote no negative notes.
Me neither. It just felt, I just enjoyed it.
As a rating, despite not writing any negative notes, I think I'll go for 8 or 9.
I'm going to go with an 8 because it's like, it's good.
I wouldn't want to revisit it too much.
Mm-mm.
I think I could get bored of it. Maybe in a couple moments it kind of
Drags.
not drags, but my mind wanders kind of
Mm.
thing. I sometimes find that as a negative. Aidan, that's just because you've got a short attention span. Yes, but there are episodes I can watch where it keeps me
Yeah.
100% of the time. Next week, the episode we watch next week, I'm going to reveal shortly, keeps me 100% of the time. So that is for me. Well, I'm not going to give my rating now, but it's going to be quite predictable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say this one is an 8. Despite not writing any negatives, but maybe that's just because sometimes your tastes take over and some things don't click, and sometimes you prefer. Like there is a plot, but it doesn't feel like there's loads of plot. If that makes sense.
And it's very simple.
Simple plot. This
Yeah.
dead guy needs to be defeated. We defeat the guy. Everybody's happy. But that's that. Next week,
Mm.
another one-parter.
You've sent me the schedule, but I haven't read it.
I know, but it's Heaven Sent next week,
Hey!
so gonna be very exciting.
Oh, yes.
That one, I'm very looking forward to that one. Not many actually Capaldi episodes in series 2, I've noticed. But that's kind of because I'll talk about this next week, but I kind of find that there's not that many that are objectively amazing episodes, if that makes sense.
I love Capaldi as a Doctor. I'm pretty sure I've said he's my second favorite Doctor.
Yeah. But for me, I find there's not many episodes when I go, that is a clear fan favorite. That is a clear fan favorite.
Honestly, it would have been a part of me wishes this is why I really just want Capaldi with like written by Russell, because I just want to see that, you know. Imagine if I see
Imagine
it.
if it was god awful though.
Maybe, but imagine if we see it and we're like, he's perfect. Like, just imagine if there's like, he's better than we've ever seen him before. That's nothing about Moffat's writing, but his series, obviously, money, like a lot of, it wasn't the best. So it'd just be interesting to see it written by someone else, see if it is the best. You know?
Yes. But yeah, that's it from
Okay.
us. Join us next week. Same bat
That
time,
time.
same bat channel. I love how that's become our outro
Yeah.
now. And we say it in every episode. We did it as a joke, but now it is actually.
It is our outro.
It is our outro.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening,
And if
everyone.
you've only started listening to the podcast very recently,
You'll be
you won't
so
understand
confused.
the reference
Why
at
do
all.
these guys talk about Batman sometimes? Because
Well,
we did a
because
Batman
We did a Batman
spin-off.
podcast and it flopped.
Well,
So-
hey. Yeah, okay, well, no one listened. It's your fault that it flopped, not mine. I tried my best.
I think we overestimated the crossover between Doctor Who audience and Batman audience. Turned out to be much smaller than we anticipated. So join us next week.
Yes.
And goodbye.
Thanks very much for listening, everyone. Bye-bye.